What is going on, Dodger fans? Hope everyone had a nice 4th of July because it's been nothing but doo-doo since your Los Angeles Dodgers have fallen a little behind in the, or they're still ahead, but they're losing steam in the NL West. They're now just 6.5 games up on the San Diego Padres and San Francisco Giants for first place in the NL West as they're now 56-36. They're on a 4-game losing skid. They're in the midst of a disaster in terms of pitching. They've let the opposition, which has been the Astros for 3 games, and now factor in the Milwaukee Brewers for 1 game, outscoring the Dodgers 38-7. It's been a disaster as of late. We're going to have some fun topics. We're going to dive into it. We'll get to some trade deadline rumors and wish lists, and we're going to recap this awful Astros series. But let's start with the obvious tonight. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was not good for the Dodgers. He only lasted 2/3 of an innings, his shortest outing of his major league career. It was a complete blow up for Yamamoto. Some of it not his fault, which we'll get into, but at the end of the day, he was bad. He allowed 3 earned runs to score, gave up 4 hits, no strikeouts, and Dave Roberts had to pull him with 2 outs in the inning on 41 pitches, and they went to the bullpen. So initially thoughts, Jake, on Yamamoto and how that ties into some of your other frustrations.
I mean, he just picked a really bad spot to have his worst outing of his career. It was very unfortunate, very hittable, and especially to that Andrew Vaughn at bat, because he had him with 2 strikes on him, and then he just hung the shit out of this curveball. And Andrew Vaughn, of course, a newly acquired Brewer, hits a bomb, and that was kind of it. I was a little surprised that Dave Roberts got him so quickly, because you figure he's the ace. You got to let him kind of go and maybe figure it out. But I think it was clear to Dave, as it was probably clear to you and me too, watching the game, he just didn't have it. And why put more stress on his arm than he already has? I mean, he's been healthy this whole year. He's pitched really well. He has earned an all-star spot, which he probably will not be available to pitch in, because he is scheduled, I think, 1 more turn in the rotation before the break. So I think Dave kind of recognized this is not his game. Let's try and salvage this with the bullpen. But honestly, I was a little bit more disappointed in the offense than Yamamoto himself. I just felt like this offense was just dead. It's been dead for a while. And typically what's happened this year with this offense is that they have been slow to start games, and then all of a sudden they can put hits together and runs together, and they explode for 5 or 6 runs in an inning. And that has happened a lot. The problem is that they are cold for the first few innings and then stay cold, and they can't seem to score enough runs to win. And I all I can say, Kevin, before we get into any kind of rant or anything, but the only thing I can say is thank God the Dodgers took care of business against bad teams like the Rockies and the White Sox to allow them enough cushion to get swept by the Astros at home and embarrassed today in Milwaukee. They've got a few games to turn it around, but they've got a big enough lead in the division right now to be able to have these horrendous stretches. It's just unfortunate that it's come against really good competition.
Appreciate people tuning in. Hit that like button for us. And if you aren't a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. Turn those noties on so you know when we're going live. It was absolutely the right call for Dave Roberts to pull Yamamoto after 41 pitches. You're getting into a very murky situation if you allow him to tax that arm any further. That is a lot of pitches to accumulate in a single inning, and you're flirting with injury there. And speaking of injury, whether he's actually feeling any pain or not, I think it's time for the Dodgers to put Yoshinobu Yamamoto down. Call it a phantom IL stint, whatever you want to phrase it as. He needs some time off, and the numbers back it up. Since June 1st, Yoshinobu Yamamoto has a 4.60 ERA. That's a 6-start span. Part of that, I feel like, is he just is not the same pitcher when he's on 5 days rest versus those 6 days plus. And we've already dove into those stats in the past, and they continue to just prove that Yamamoto is not the same pitcher when he goes on 5 days rest. He was phenomenal against the White Sox, but it's the Chicago White Sox. They're nowhere near anywhere of a playoff contender. The Milwaukee Brewers have surprisingly been pretty good this season, despite kind of letting some key players go in the offseason, and they absolutely whacked Yamamoto tonight. So as a reminder, he has a 4.60 ERA since June 1st. He's already surpassed his 2024 season total in terms of innings pitched. He only threw 90 innings during the regular season last year. He's up to about 97 this season. I think it would be very wise, especially with Tyler Glasnow nearing his return. We just got Emmett Sheehan back. I think Yamamoto needs a breather. And you mentioned he probably won't pitch in the All-Star break. Whether he was available or not, the Dodgers cannot afford to let this guy pitch that exhibition game.
There's been so many bullpen games, and I haven't recently looked up the numbers, but I would almost guarantee you that the Dodgers are still leading Major League Baseball in most relief innings or bullpen innings. And if they're not leading that category, they're right up there. They're definitely leading that category. Yeah, I didn't even need to really look it up. I don't know why I doubted myself. But the point is that they've had so many bullpen games that they haven't been able to really have a six-man rotation like they wanted to. I mean, the Snell and Glasnow injuries, and Sasaki for that matter, have really crushed this starting rotation. And they've had to salvage games with Ben Kasparius. You see what that kind of toll has taken on his arm and his development. He doesn't really know what role he's supposed to be. A starter, a long man, a high leverage guy. Wroblewski, same thing. They just haven't had a consistency in the starting rotation to have that sixth man. And like you pointed out, Kevin, Yamamoto clearly does need an extra day. So I'm with you. I think that they should shut him down, not let him go out there. I mean, at this point, just throw a bullpen game out there, and you know, they do it anyway. They had to do it today, and they did okay, you know. But the problem is you can't have guys like his name is escaping me. The guy you just absolutely can't stand. He gave up 10 runs in one inning. Noah Davis just came to me as I was shitting on him.
We'll get to him.
That guy, all I'll just say is that they can't have that guy coming back or anybody close to that, giving up 10 runs in one inning. We don't need that. But they're very comfortable doing these bullpen games. Just do another one and get to the All-Star break and reset.
So what's kind of interesting here, and it seems like it's more of a red flag than a good thing. So can confirm the Dodgers bullpen does lead all Major League Baseball teams in terms of innings pitched. I don't even know if this counts tonight, because then if it does, you have to add another 8 1/3. But 407 innings pitched by the Dodgers bullpen. The next 3 teams to follow them are the White Sox, the Marlins, and the Rockies. So what does that tell you about the Dodgers starting pitching in terms of giving them length? The bullpen ERA has a 4.46 ERA. That is bottom 6. They're 24th. I didn't even know the bullpen was that bad, but I guess when you have guys like Noah Davis and Yandres Gomez or Diaz, whatever that guy's name was, coming out for you, can certainly hurt your numbers, and a 133 whip. So
yeah, well, when you're running guys out there that you've never heard of before every single day, and Lou Trevino's pitching for you every single day, it's like
on Luis Garcia.
I mean, you're bound to have not a great bullpen because you just don't have enough arms. And that goes back to the central issue of the training staff or the way they're training these guys. I don't know, but it's like every year we have an issue like this, and it's really bad this year. Worse than I've seen it in a long time. So it just keeps getting worse for the starting rotation and the pitching staff as a whole.
And then, not to knock on him, but it doesn't really help us when Otani can only go 2 innings. Then you have to go with Kasparius or Wroblewski to piggyback him.
I mean, here's the thing about Otani. I think he can go longer. I was at the game on Saturday with him pitching. You were there too, Kevin. He looked like he could have gone at least 4. I mean, we've seen the 1 inning, we've seen the 2 innings a few times. I think he can go longer than that. And I think that we should be at least trying to do that a little bit. He looked very comfortable. He struck out the side in his final inning of work, and he looked like tip top of his game. So I think he can go longer, and they should stretch him out, but it's tough because it's like, if you're going to continue to have him go 2-3 innings every time, then it's just a scheduled bullpen game every fifth turn in the rotation.
Is it time to talk about Mookie Betts?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so first off, the defense. Maybe it's just me, but I'm getting less and less impressed with his defense once more. He had a pretty terrible error tonight where you just throw the ball to second base and you get the out. And instead, he tried to make the flashy play by throwing the ball to first base, and that resulted in an error. And maybe I'm just having a cloudy memory right now, but I just feel like the advanced stats are favoring Mookie Betts more than what I'm actually seeing on the field. I feel like the difficult balls hit in Mookie's direction or the diving plays, I don't really see Betts getting to them, to be honest. And we all know that he's been serviceable at the shortstop position, but we have other defenders on this team that are capable of holding it down at shortstop. So, like, what are we really doing here with Mookie Betts at shortstop? To me, it just feels like an utter waste.
It is an utter waste. We're wasting him. He's one of the best talents in all of baseball. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. And we're doing this experiment for no reason. It's not out of necessity. They're choosing to do this. We've been talking about this forever, Kevin. It's never made sense. And look, you could talk about advanced metrics all you want or making the routine plays all you want. Obviously, tonight, he had a horrific throw and a horrific decision not to throw the ball to second base. Those two mistakes in one play. But I don't care about all that, to be honest with you. He shouldn't be there in the first place. He should be in right field, which as we've discussed, is a disaster. I mean, it is a disaster out there with Teoscar Hernandez every day, and he's hurt now. So it's like we're putting ourselves in this position that we don't need to be in, and there's no explanation as to why. Like, why can't you either use the many shortstops that you have on this team already, or just pick a guy that you can stick there that has a decent bat that can wait around until an Alex Freeland is ready to be in the show or whatever. But like moving your 30-year-old outfielder to shortstop, like we've said a ton of times, just never, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
He's no longer Mookie Betts with the bat either. We've got some type of hybrid version now of Cesaris Turris and Rafael Furcal out there. And not to knock on those guys, but when you go from Mookie Betts, a premier Hall of Fame bat, to now a less than average positional player at shortstop with his WRC plus below 100, the OPS has plummeted down to 713. He's hitting 249 with a 321 on base percentage. 11 home runs, which is fine, 44 RBIs, but it's just not the same player. And we were at the game on Saturday when he hit a clear, obvious double, but then he tried to leg it out and got thrown out as the leadoff hitter in that seventh inning, I want to say. And instead of having a runner on second with nobody out, the Dodgers lose the runner altogether. And now you've got Freeman and Smith coming up with nobody on base. And I think at that point in the game, the Dodgers were down 2 runs, so they were still in it. But because of that play, they killed all the momentum. Unfortunately for Mookie Betts, I think he, in his head, thought he was much faster than he actually is. And I don't really put any blame on Dino there, because I feel like Dino just kind of lets a guy like Betts have free reign because he's just so established. But that was a disastrous play as well. And I think that was why that wasn't why we lost that game, but that put the nail in the coffin for why we lost that game.
I think so too. It was a ridiculous base running mistake that at the time I was thinking maybe Dino Ebel had something to do with it because I couldn't imagine Mookie Betts actually thinking he could make it to third when the outfielder had the ball as he was touching second. But you look back at that play, and because the ball and the play is in front of the base runner, it is then up to the base runner to make the decision whether or not he wants to go to third or can make it. And if you are going to take a risk like that at that point in the game, you better damn well make it to third. He was out by a country mile. It wasn't even close. And
God.
he needs to know what his own speed is, and his own speed is not very fast. So you need to be content with a double there, even though in all likelihood, anybody, even Freddie Freeman, makes it to third base on a play like that because the outfielder misplayed it. So to me, that was ridiculous. And you're right. It did kill the momentum of that inning. And that was pretty much the game there.
So what I want to see from the Dodgers, if they're going to be stubborn and they're not going to move Mookie Betts to second base or right field, then we're going to have to talk about some outfielders. So we'll save that for the second half of the show. I've got a good list of names and trade candidates that I'm excited to break that down with because we need a bat, and more on that in a little bit. But I would, if the Dodgers didn't make a single move at the trade deadline and we just get like the Fabian Ardaya tweet of breaking, Dodgers have decided to move Mookie Betts to right field, like that's winning the deadline to me at this point. Because one, I'm convinced if you move Mookie to right field, he's going to get his legs back. The power will naturally start to come back with some time. And two, the shortstop play just does not make up for this lack of a bat that we have with Mookie Betts. He was lifeless yet again tonight. To his credit, he did have a home run against Framber Valdez and had some good at-bats in that Astros series, but it still has not been enough for the bulk of this season, and I just don't have confidence in it right now with him hitting behind Shohei Otani. It's just been so much of a theme, especially since the start of June, where Otani, Betts, and Freeman have been 0-4s.
Yeah, and it used to be the case where, like last year, a ton of times when they would walk Otani to get to Betts, and he'd, like the Michael Jordan meme, would take that personally and then deliver. And then this year, it just hasn't been that. And you wonder what is going on at the plate. He's popping a lot of balls up, and he's not hitting balls that he should be crushing. And they'll never say it's the defense. They'll never say it's because he is learning a brand new position for the second year in a row, or really for the first full year anyway. Yeah. To me, I just don't understand. I don't get why we're doing this. I just don't get it. I've never understood it. Nobody has been able to explain it to me. Just like nobody can explain to me why the Dodgers pitchers have so many injuries all the time, and why we lead the league in that, and why we lead the league in bullpen innings. Like no one can explain any of that to me. And I find that I don't understand why we're doing this. We don't have to do this. They realize that, right?
It's just it's a sick game, unfortunately. We'll take some questions for the show if you want to drop them in the YouTube chat, and we'll get to your guys' questions or statements. But I think it's time to kind of recap this awful Astros series now. So Jake mentioned it. The Dodgers were swept at home by the Houston Astros. Full on me, or foolish mistake from me. I kind of underrated the Astros this season. I did not expect them to be as good as they are. And unfortunately, they kicked our ass. It's hard to argue that this wasn't the worst series that the Dodgers played all season so far. They got outscored 29-6. One of the differences was hitting with runners in scoring position. The Astros hit 13 for 34, but in that first game, they were 9 for 18. The Dodgers were 3 for 16 with runners in scoring position. We couldn't do anything. And that's why
it's not just like not doing anything. It's just 3 for 16. You think about opportunities for that entire series. Only 16 times they came up with runners on base to score. And the Astros had basically double that. So there you go right there. That's the brand of baseball the Dodgers are used to playing, is crowding the bases. And I can't help but think about this Max Muncy injury being a little bit more than maybe we thought in terms of impact, because Muncy's the type of guy that works counts, works at bats, gets on base, changes complexions of innings because he's able to work these counts. And losing a bat like that in the middle of the order is maybe much more devastating to our lineup than we thought. I had made the point that, okay, they lose Muncy, that's fine. Maybe he'll come back. Hopefully he will. But, Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, Teo, Will Smith. I mean, these Andy Pages, these guys can carry the lineup. But losing Muncy's a big impact. That happened in the White Sox series. So the Dodgers were a little banged up, but Astros fans will tell you that the Astros were even more banged up when you look at their what the lineups they were throwing out there. And I was at the game, as you mentioned, on Saturday, and I was saying to the people I was sitting with, how is this lineup doing this to us? This lineup with Victor Caratini batting fifth. How is that happening? Yeah. And then you think, oh yeah, the only thing that the Astros need to beat the Dodgers are two players, Jose Altuve and Christian Walker. And let me just take you through the numbers real quick because it is staggering. Jose Altuve, like him, hate him, or whatever, this guy kills us. He has a career .311 batting average against the Dodgers with 5 home runs and 12 RBIs. He crushes us. And then if you think that's bad, take a look at Christian Walker. .258 batting average, that's modest, but 29 home runs, Kevin. And that obviously dates back to his time with the Diamondbacks, but 29 home runs, 65 RBIs, and 50 runs scored. That guy, I mean, he feasts on the Dodgers. No, he's not even having a good season.
No.
And he just comes to Dodger Stadium and just rakes, hits 2 home runs, right? Two in 3 games. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, you pulled up the career stats, and it's apparent that he kills the Dodgers, and he was having a very pedestrian season. His OPS was below 700, but in that series, he went 6 for 14. He scored 5 runs, had a couple home runs, and 6 RBIs. He absolutely tormented the Dodgers. And anyone that's denying that he doesn't kill the Dodgers, aka former Locked On Dodgers host Jeff Snyder, then I don't know what to tell you, because Christian Walker is the ultimate Dodger killer, and they just let him wreak havoc on us once again. And Jose Altuve, what was also annoying is that after Mookie Betts got thrown out at third base, Jose Altuve, of course, legged out a triple. So just pure obnoxious stuff. And I gotta take on Jose Altuve. That pissed off a lot of Astros fans. And so if they're going to tune into this episode, then I want them to hear it from the voice himself. If Major League Baseball voters have decided that Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Alex Rodriguez, who are all way more talented than Jose Altuve, couldn't get into the Hall of Fame because of their use of performance-enhancing drugs, then Jose Altuve has no business getting into the Hall of Fame either, because at the end of the day, he is a cheater, just like the rest of them, if you want to consider the steroid guys cheaters. But the difference is almost everyone was doing it in that era versus a guy like Altuve, who was a part of that 2017 Astros cheating scandal where they knew what every pitch was that was coming because they were banging on trash cans and using illegal cameras. And so I want to have none of that. Unless you start to let all those guys into the Hall of Fame, Jose Altuve has no business getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I hope the writers out there see it too. They'd be idiots to vote him in. That would just be complete favoritism and negligence.
I'm with you, but I think they'll let him in because he's historically said he didn't cheat and didn't use the trash can banging. And that PR move that he made there might have saved his Hall of Fame campaign. They did have there is the accusation though, that there was that buzzer underneath his jersey. Never got proved, but he was holding on to that jersey pretty tight. And I don't really think it had anything to do with his shitty tattoo. So yeah, I'm with you, but I think they'll let him in just because, and it sucks. It sucks, but he's a good player. He's a really good player, and he's an absolute pest. And I know that Oral Hershiser got into the crosshairs of Astros fans over that weekend because he, as the Dodgers were getting absolutely demolished 18-1, the worst loss in Dodger Stadium history, Oral starts to talk about, it's almost like they know what pitch is coming. And of course, that is going to ignite the wildfire that is the Astros fan base, because they are still defensive and butthurt about being called out about that. And I have 2 takes about that, Kevin. One of them is this cheating thing, no matter who's on the roster, is going to follow that organization into hell. And I can't wait for that to continue to happen. So that's number one. And they deserve that for what that organization did. And that 2017 title, which I'll never forgive them for. At the same time, obviously, Oral was not saying that that's what they were doing, but he was basically saying they were crushing the Dodgers so badly that it was almost if they knew that a pitch was coming. But the Dodgers had Ben Kasparius out there and Noah Davis out there. So isn't it just the Astros were feasting on bad pitching? Isn't it that what we're talking about here?
Yes.
They weren't, I don't believe that they were cheating again, right?
Well, not in that series, at least. I don't know about at home, but
yeah.
Speaking of Ben Kasparius, it's time to talk about the first game. It's really time to talk about this first game. So they lost 18-1. Absolute embarrassment. Worst loss of the season. You thought losing 16-0 or whatever that score was against the Cubs was bad. Well, the Dodgers decided in the same season, let's one-up it and throw out this shit sandwich. So I talked about it literally in the last episode that Ben Kasparius should not be used in a starting role. And what do? They throw him back out there as a starter, and he gets completely shelled once again. So I'm just going to throw it out there on record that the Dodgers are using this guy completely wrong. He should be a high leverage 1 to 2 inning guy in the later part of the game or the middle innings if they need 6 outs or something. But this whole starter role, he's not cut out for it. He wasn't even a top pitching prospect in the Dodgers organization. So it's not like this is some Bobby Miller or Dustin May or something. He kind of just came out of nowhere and flourished. And he did that as a reliever because now his ERA has ballooned up to 4.68 on the season. Over his last 3 appearances, he's got an 11.25 ERA. He's given up 15 earned runs over 12 innings pitched. And over his last 7 games, he's been bad as well, an ERA of close to 8. So point number 1, stop using Ben Kasparius wrong. I think you're on mute. You might be on mute, Jake.
Thank you, Kevin. What was I saying? Just kidding. You had no idea what I was saying. I agree with you about the Kasparius thing. I think once these pitchers come back, and the like Snell and Glass now, they won't have to use Kasparius in this role. But I do believe that they should be using Robleski as a starter. They should be using Sheehan as a starter. Keep those guys up at the big league level. I don't know why they keep sending them down. They just set Robleski down to bring up some guy that was bad tonight. So I just don't know why they don't just keep these guys as starting pitchers.
I think Robleski was just a strategic move because they wanted a fresh arm up, and you've got the All-Star break coming up soon. So they probably just figured send him down now, you manipulate those options, and we might see Robleski back after the All-Star break. But yes, I agree about Sheehan. This guy continues to ball out. He needs to stay up there. Had a crazy amount of whiffs yet again against the Astros, and he was the only good part in that game. And then once the bullpen came in, they kind of faltered once again. But circling back to game 1, so Kasparius got shelled, and then Noah Davis had one of the worst Dodgers outings that I can ever remember. He gave up 10 runs in 1 1/3 innings, but the main part was 10 runs in a single inning. He hit Christian Walker with the bases loaded. He gave up what felt like 2 grand slams in the same inning. This guy, there's no way he's a legitimate Major League Baseball pitcher. He's got to be like the cousin's in-law of someone in the analytics department, because I've never heard of Noah Davis until he was acquired by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And every time Noah Davis has gone out there, he's gotten shelled, and not just shelled for a few runs, shelled absolutely horrifically. He is now on my Dodgers Mount Rushmore for worst Dodgers relievers of all time. And I don't even know if it's even close for number 2. I think Noah Davis is the worst of all time that I have ever seen for the Dodgers. I don't know why he's still on this 40-man roster. They need to DFA his ass ASAP.
I'm with you. You give up 10 runs in an inning, you're gone. That cannot happen. Literally not ever. Like you just can't do that. You got to get out of here. I really hope that I don't see him pitching again for us. We can find someone else to eat innings if we want.
This is worse than anyone on the Rockies or White Sox. I mean, he's got a 19.5 ERA over 5 games and a 2.5 WHIP. Like, what do the Dodgers even see in this guy? It's not like he's some young prospect. He's 28. He's not like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
He's 28.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And there is, again, it's like one of those things that I was talking about earlier. There are inexplicable things that this franchise does that they don't have to do. And that is one of them, which is employ a pitcher that can't get an out and gives up 10 runs and ensures that you won't win the game.
Yeah, and on top of that, I'm pretty sure they were expecting him to probably go out there for 3, maybe 4 innings. He could only handle 4 outs because that's how bad of a scrub he is. He has a better chance of being a janitor at Dodger Stadium because the only shit he should be touching is toilet shit, cleaning toilets. He can't even mop up a game. He's that bad. That was just infuriating. But yeah, we talked about the second game in terms of what pissed us off. I do want to say real quick, I was so impressed with Shohei Otani.
Yep.
The fact that he struck out the side in the second inning and his slider just looked so filthy. Nobody on the Astros could touch it. Beautiful stuff right there. But I'm with you. I would like to see him go 3, maybe even 4 innings. I know that they're really, really playing it slow with him, but is it worth it if it's going to lose us some games? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you have an automatic bullpen game, it's tough to let Otani just not, provide the full potential that. And I'm sure if you ask him, he probably would want to pitch longer than he is. I mean, he was fighting to get on the mound when he was, and he started pitching probably before they were comfortable having him out there. So I agree, they're slow playing him a lot. I think he can do a little bit more. And we're not asking for 5, 6, 7 innings at this point, but at the very least, give us 4 innings, because as soon as he left the ball game, which again, it was only after 2 innings, the Dodgers were winning, and then immediately they weren't, and it was like, that was it. And that was the ball game.
Do you think the pitching is impacting his bat at all?
I mean, he certainly is cold recently. Shohei Otani is. If you look up his stats, he's been very cold. I don't know. I can't tell. I mean, we don't have a big enough sample size, I think, at this point, like we do for the Mookie Betts shortstop situation.
Yeah.
But the one guy I don't worry about is Shohei Otani. I think he is in a class above everyone else in the major leagues in terms of hitting and pitching, for that matter, but especially as a hitter. I'm not ready to say that his pitching is affecting his hitting right now. Certainly the games that he does do both, his hitting, is usually isn't that good. But again, he's only had 3 or 4 starts so far.
4.
I don't know if we have enough sample size yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the sample size is there to correlate the two, but there's no hiding the fact that Shohei Otani is in a slump right now. Over his last 7 games, 192. OPS is barely above 600. Doing a little better over his last 15 games, 218 batting average with 5 home runs. But the power just has not been there as of late. He was on fire in the month of May, and then he kind of cooled off in June, and it's carried over into July, certainly. But at the end of the day, Otani is still having a fantastic season. I mean, he's got the 30 home runs. He's got an OPS of almost 1,000. But it's just worth pointing out he is kind of in a slump right now. And I just feel like he's striking out kind of awfully a lot. A lot of pitches that you felt like Shohei Otani manhandled last season, he's either taking them down the middle for strike 2 and occasionally down the middle for strike 3.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that where it's just he's staring at it and it is a perfect strike. Now, tonight there was a pitch that was inside. That umpire was terrible tonight. He was giving Freddie Peralta that low strike below the knees every single time. It was like at least a baseball's width away from being in the zone. So you give Otani a pass for that. But generally speaking, I agree with you. Not only letting those pitches go by, but missing the hittable ones and just over swinging sometimes. just kind of swinging out of his shoes. But again, I think this is just a sign of it being close to the All-Star break. The Dodgers desperately need a break to reset and get guys healthy again and prepare for the stretch run. The good news is that they have a little bit of separation. They've lost some separation since they were, about 8-9 games up. Now they're only like 6-ish games up in the division, but they've lost 4 in a row. I hope we don't get swept by the Brewers. I hope we can salvage this series, but it did not look good tonight.
Did not. Yeah, I mean, Otani is 5th right now. He leads 5th in the National League, leads the Dodgers in total strikeouts. He's got 104 of them. I was trying to figure out what his pace was last season because I know the pace is certainly higher. If I can find Otani right now, he had 162 strikeouts for the entire season, and he's got already 104, and we're not even at the All-Star break yet. So it seems like the strikeouts have been ticking up for Otani. But other than this game, I mean, Miguel Rojas had a home run, an RBI base hit against Framber Valdez. That was his only highlight. Did have an error earlier in that game. And I was just my last takeaway, honestly, from this Astros series, very frustrating. They had no answer for Ryan Gusto, who's some mediocre pitcher, and he just dominated us.
Yeah, tends to happen sometimes. That guy on the White Sox held us at bay. The long reliever that they sent in, who I think he pitched tonight, Sean Burke, I think his name was. That was during the Kershaw 3000th strikeout.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes these random guys just baffle us. But the thing I want to say about Miguel Rojas, because Miguel Rojas has been swinging the bat a lot better, to his credit. But here's my fear. And I think where the Muncy and the Kike now injury hurts us and also is a benefit to us is that we're going to get to see a lot more Hae-Sung Kim, which by default, even though he's earned it, but by default, we're going to see more of him, which is great. We're also going to see a lot more Miguel Rojas. And the only thing I'm fearful of, Kevin, and this may be an irrational fear at this time because this is such a specific situation, but I just feel that because they're seeing success from Miguel Rojas now, they're going to put him in some crucial spot down the stretch or in the playoffs when you need him to come through, and it's going to be a disaster, an absolute disaster, whether he grounds into a triple play, makes a big error, just needs to make contact or not swing the bat at all to get Otani up. There's going to be some situation late in the season when you're going to need Miguel Rojas, and because he's had such a decent year as a backup, we're going to trust him, and it's not going to go well. And I know this is a specific situation, and I may be crying about nothing right now, but I just have this bad feeling about how this is going to go.
I see a question from someone, so we'll get to that in a second. Again, if you have questions for the show, feel free to throw those our way. We'll answer questions you guys have for us. I got to ask you this, Jake, though. Let's say player X needs to come out of the game, and they're going to pinch hit for someone in the bottom of the ninth. Who are you going with, Miguel Rojas or Michael Conforto?
It depends on the situation.
It's a right-handed pitcher.
Okay, well then I'm going Conforto.
Why is that?
Because at the very least, because Miguel Rojas hits left-handed pitching better, and Conforto has the opportunity to hit a fly ball. Now, that's why I say the situation matters, because if you need a fly ball with a man on third with less than 2 outs, then Conforto is probably your man.
2 outs, runner on third.
And you need a base hit?
Yeah, you need a base hit. That's more what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. I see what you're saying, but lefty, righty, Roberts is going Conforto there.
You're probably right, but my point that I'm trying to get at is, as much as we want to bag on Miguel Rojas, I don't think he's the first that needs to be dropped. I am just so flat out done with Michael Conforto. This guy is a bad team merchant. He only shows up against the Colorado Rockies and the Chicago White Sox. You put him against any competent team, he does absolutely nothing for us. And I just can't envision him being in our everyday lineup in the second half, unless he's going to go on some like crazy Gavin Lux or D'Angelo Russell, don't trade me insanity run. Like his time with the Dodgers needs to come to an end very soon. He's not getting better. He just isn't. He's been consistently bad.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Conforto should be on this roster either, by the way. I'm not saying that I would rather have one or the other. I think they both need to go at some point. But you're not going to get rid of Miguel Rojas because he now is someone that you need on the roster because you got two key injuries here. I do think they need to go out and get an outfield bat. I mean, it's not just an outfield bat. I know we're going to get to it, but not just an outfield bat, but a plus defender, please. Yeah, someone that can field the position out there.
We're getting to that, but I just wanted to point out one other player that I think has been really struggling, and it's hurting the Dodgers' offensive production. And we witnessed him get hurt, unfortunately, in person when he fouled that ball off his foot. But Teoscar Hernandez has just been in a season funk ever since coming off the injured list with that groin injury I think he suffered earlier in the year. So when he was activated off the IL on May 19th, he's hitting 207, has a 608 OPS, just 5 home runs, only 20 RBIs, a 28% strikeout rate, which is kind of on par for him, but a 68 WRC plus, which is super low for a guy like Teoscar, who was an all-star last season. He didn't deserve to be an all-star this season, and I'm glad he's not participating in the home run derby because he even just said the other day that when he did it last year, he was sore for a few days. So this is most certainly a guy that needs to be down, and we've already bagged on him a lot for his defense. He's got a -9 on the season, outs above average, a -9, which is the worst defensive outfielder right now in all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and I don't know whether or not it's, obviously Teoscar Hernandez is a winning baseball player. He was a key in the Dodgers winning the World Series last year, no doubt about it. So I don't want to equate this to him not putting in enough effort to get to balls out there, but it certainly does not look like he is running full out to get to these fly balls. And I'm just wondering if it's injury related. I hope it is that, even though I don't want him to be hurt, but I hope it is not that he's just not getting to these balls because he's not putting in the effort to get there. But the bottom line is that whatever the reason is that he's not catching these balls he needs to be catching, they need to be caught. So they need to be caught by someone, and we can't have Conforto and Teoscar Hernandez at the corners. We just can't. That is just not good defense, nor is it good offense when you're talking about Conforto. I don't know what's going on with Teoscar. I hope he figures it out. I have to believe that if he's able to heal up from whatever is ailing him, the All-Star break will allow him to do that. I'm hoping that if he's 100% healthy, these issues won't be, with him the rest of the year. But it's certainly something to monitor.
Definitely. So with Kike Hernandez go on the IL, he has the elbow soreness, not from pitching, but it'd be fun if that would be kind of annoying if he got hurt because he was pitching, but it's his other arm, so we don't have to blame that. James Outman got called up. Who knows what James Outman's going to bring for the Dodgers, but at this point, when you've got Outman and Ruiz, you just hope that for one of them, something clicks up here in the meantime. But I think this leads us now to the main point, and I have been on board with this, and it sounds like you are too, based off what you just said a second ago. The Dodgers' main focus heading into the trade deadline needs to be an outfielder, which I didn't think I was going to say a few weeks ago, but with the way Teoscar's been playing, mostly with the defense, and how bad Conforto has been, and if they're not going to move Mookie Betts to right field, which it just seems like that's a dream at this point, they need to get an everyday outfielder, especially one that can handle defense. So I have some names, but I want to throw it over to you and the chat to drop names of players you think the Dodgers should target.
I want to hear what your list is. We've gone over a list before, and I want to see if any of the names that we came up with before are still on there. So why don't you start us off?
All right. I'm just posting real quick, but I'll start with kind of the lower names and then work it up to the best name. So the easy pick, I've thrown his name out there before. He's not going to cost the Dodgers much, but it's Mike Tauchman. If they just don't want to throw a top prospect out there and they want to get someone cheap and go the Kevin Kiermaier route like they did last season, Mike Tauchman is the move. This guy is really good on defense. He's actually been having a good offensive season for the White Sox this season. And I think you texted me the other day, didn't he rob a home run?
He did. He robbed Freddie Freeman.
Oh, he did against us. So foolish, shame on me for forgetting that. Next up, this is more kind of subjective, but in terms of who's better, but Steven Kwan. The Cleveland Guardians are going absolutely nowhere. And I would love for them to get a pure contact guy like Steven Kwan. He's got a couple more years of control left, so maybe that makes him less appealing and could cost the Dodgers a little bit more in terms of prospect capital. But Steve Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians, just pulling up right now what his defensive metrics are. But yeah, he has a fielding run value of +2, and the range isn't as good. It's a -2. But his arm value is 100 out of 100. He's got the best arm apparently in Major League Baseball. So I think he's a scrappy hitter. He's someone that you could maybe put up near the top of the order if they need to move Mookie down, or you put Kwan near the bottom of the order and you do kind of the turnover thing to have a guy on base for Shohei Otani. But Kwan, I think, is a name you look at. Maybe you package him with a reliever from Cleveland, and you got yourself a nice little haul. Maybe they get Clase if Cleveland's like, we're done with him. Maybe he needs a change of scenery.
I feel like the Kwan price tag is going to be really steep. He's kind of a franchise player for them right now.
It would be very steep, but I think the Dodgers got to do something here. And
he's 27 years old. He's a great hitter. I would love to have Steven Kwan in this lineup. Are you kidding me? Anybody would. And like you mentioned, he's a great outfielder. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer. The problem is, what are they going to ask for that?
I mean, they're going to ask for a lot, but they're not – they can't get the top prospects. It's just not realistic. It's our next tier of guys that I think we can afford to sell off. So, it's just a thought there. Number 2, number 3, I mean – this one seems kind of unrealistic, but I wanted to throw it out there in case this team does decide to sell. It's Adolis Garcia. He's actually been a pretty good defender, and he can handle right field. So he'd be an instant upgrade over Teoscar Hernandez if the Dodgers feel like they need to get a right fielder. Adolis Garcia is league average in terms of defense, which I'll take league average now because Teoscar's been just so bad. The one downside is this guy is a free swinger. He does chase. He does strike out a lot. But we did see him just explode for the Rangers a couple years ago and was basically the reason him and Corey Seager were basically the reason they knocked out the Astros in the ALCS. He just went off.
Yeah, I don't know about him. He's not having the best year. He's got an OPS of 652.
He's been bad.
He's been kind of bad this year, and he's 32. I don't know if it could be a realistic option. The Rangers, they're 10.5 games behind the wild card hunt at this point. They're 4. Well, yeah, they're kind of in it. I mean, they're 4 games out as it stands right now, the wild card. So they may not want to part with him, but I don't know if I like that. I see in the chat, people are talking about Jarren Duran. Do you have him on your list?
Jarren Duran is the top dog. He's the cream of the crop. That's the guy you give up the haul for. He's my number 1 target. The only issue with Jarren Duran is he's not a good defender, but maybe the Dodgers can work with him. They've got a pretty good fielding training staff and field coordinator staff. Maybe they can help him out there. Also, Fenway Park isn't exactly the most easy ballpark to be an outfielder in. Obviously, Manny Ramirez was a disaster out there. But even though he's having a down year, he's got a 731 OPS. I just love how fast this guy is. He'd be a great guy to have near the bottom of your order because he certainly has the power. He had 21 home runs last season, stole 34 bases. But like I just said, he's having a pretty mediocre season, only has 6 home runs, 15 stolen bases, and you would have to give up a lot to get him. but I think a change of scenery would do good service for Duran.
I'm with you. I think that you take a look at where the Red Sox are right now, and they're kind of towards the bottom of the AL East, 6.5 games out, but they might be they're probably in that wild card hunt. Yeah, they're 2 games out, so they may not want to part with him either. But yeah, Jarren Duran would be amazing to get. The other guy that we've talked about who's still having a pretty decent year is Lars Nootbaar of the Cardinals. He's got an OPS of 699, 11 homers. He's only hitting 224, but he's a really good outfielder. And I don't know if you'd have to break the bank for him in order to get him. The only issue is again, the Cardinals are in the hunt.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we're getting Nootbaar from St. Louis unless they have a major meltdown. Nolan Arenado is probably the one guy they would want to pass off to us, but I don't think the Dodgers want Nolan Arenado, even though I would be perfectly happy with him.
Yep.
But I talked about that last week. Some other quick questions. So thank you someone for tuning in. Hit that like button if you haven't. How come you guys aren't beating up Dave Roberts for his bullpen blunders? I think the reason is, honestly, Dave Roberts is not at fault for the Dodgers' poor play pretty much at all this season. Like, I can't even really think of any Dave Roberts blunders. I mean, he's working with what he's got. I mean, it's not him who's making the decisions to call up these scrubs. Like, it wasn't Dave Roberts pounding his fist to have Noah Davis be on the active roster. Robleski, that was the game plan. Robleski in his most recent outing got pummeled. Ben Kasparius, they wanted him to start. He got shelled. These are not decisions you can put on Dave Roberts.
No, you can't. And for people that are also arguing, well, why isn't he taking these guys out? They're getting shelled. It's like, well, when your starter can't make it out of the first inning, or you're going these bullpen games, the bulk guys are going to eat it one way or the other. You know, it's like they don't have the luxury of going to a high leverage arm every single time the game gets out of hand. So that's the problem with these long seasons. And also, Dave Roberts just doesn't have the personnel. They don't have the starting pitching. They don't have the bullpen to withstand this. So you kind of have to let a guy like Noah Davis or Robleski or Kasparius eat these innings and eat these pitches so that they're able to complete the ball game. I don't think you can go after Roberts for any of this stuff. Most of it's injury related. Yeah.
Injury related, and the offense just has been slumping. Freddie Freeman hasn't been consistent. Looked like he was coming back in the White Sox series, had the walk-off, and then has kind of gone back to being a little bit cold. He's 259 batting average over his last 7 games. No home runs. The power stroke has been kind of a big surprise. He's got like 1 home run in the last month and a half. So with Tyler Glasnow coming back, did you have any thoughts on Glasnow?
No, let's just see what he looks like when he gets out there. Hopefully he stays out there for a couple turns in the rotation.
So he'll be pitching on Wednesday against the Brewers. I'm excited to have Glasnow back. This is kind of the put up or shut up season for Glasnow. Like, honestly, if he's not available for the postseason, you're going to start to see some takes from me that it's time to trade this guy. Like, I know we've got him on a 4 or 5 year extension, but in year 2 of this, if Glasnow is not available in October, frankly, I might be done with him. So I got optimistic. I think he's a talented pitcher. He just needs to stay on the field. I think he's going to go 75 to 80 pitches, and hopefully the command is there.
I mean, the bar is low, but the margin for error is small. So let's see what happens.
So last call for questions, and then we'll get on out of here with our final thoughts. Dennis Gonzalez, what is a good reason for Hae-Sung Kim not getting more consistent playing time over guys like Miguel Rojas and Michael Conforto?
Well, good news for Dennis Gonzalez. Kim's going to be playing alongside Rojas and Conforto. He's not going to have to take away playing time from them because of the injuries to Max Muncy, and now Kike Hernandez is on the IL. So Kim's going to be out there. But I agree. I mean, his point is well taken, I think. I think Kim should have been out there anyway. So it's just by default now.
I don't have a good reason because Kim should be out there every day. The guy just continues to rake, and I think it's starting to catch up with him, the inconsistencies in playing time, because now he's cooling off. So thanks a lot, Dodgers. Over, under 6 starts before Glass now is on the IL again from Crash.
It better be over.
I'll go over. I'm optimistic. I think he's going to go on a nice little run, and then Blake Snell will be back and we'll be happy.
Great.
Anything else, Jake, you want to cover?
Let's just do our final thoughts, because I think we got to put this in perspective a little bit. Like I said at the top, the good news is the Dodgers beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and that is all you can really ask for them during the regular season, because they have a lead in the division. They are winning the games they're supposed to win. That is the glass half full take. Now, the glass half empty take is what is going to happen when October rolls around, because these good teams we're not playing well against. We are losing to the Astros, getting beat pretty badly. And yeah, we may not have our best starters out there, but we have a close to our full lineup out there, minus Max Muncy, and Teoscar Hernandez just went down. So there really is no excuse there. So there is a little bit of a worry against these better teams, how they will stack up. But honestly, none of that matters until we get to September, October, and we see what this roster looks like. Because I think the Dodgers are going to be there. They always are. The Dodgers are leaps and bounds better than every team in this division, and they've proven that. And I think that a lot of this magic that we've seen from these teams have kind of subsided, and they're coming back down to earth. And they're good teams. They're just not as good as the Dodgers. So this all-star break is much needed. They need to reset, come back out second half, ready to go. We get a lot of our pitchers back. Hopefully we get our bats back as well. Looking at you, Teoscar Hernandez and Max Muncy down the road. And we better, Kevin, have an active deadline.
I got 2 quick thoughts, so I wanted to save the best for last. Clayton Kershaw was picked by Rob Manfred as the commissioner's pick to be on the All-Star team. I think that's a very cool nod and respect from now turned Dodgers fan Rob Manfred, because it seems like he loves the Dodgers all of a sudden ever since we got Otani, maybe because they're filling up his pockets, wink, wink. But with that thought, please do not pitch Clayton Kershaw in the All-Star game. I don't think they will, because Dave Roberts is the manager, but they need to use this time for Kershaw especially to just take it easy. Don't exert yourself. We're playing the long game here. I would have loved to have seen him go in the World Baseball Classic, but now that we're in the actual season, just don't pitch him, please. I beg of thee.
I'm with you. And I think the cool part about this, the commissioner choosing Kershaw, is that look, he's not having an all-star season as you would, imagine someone to have, because he hasn't really pitched in that many games, but he's not having a bad season. He's actually having a pretty good season. He's undefeated. He's 4-0 with a 3.43 ERA. So it's not like he's getting lit up every time out there and they're just giving him this all-star nod. I think it's very classy, but it also makes sense because he is having a pretty decent year.
Yeah. And then the last thought is, I know the Dodgers have been playing pretty poor as of late, but I don't think anyone's hitting the panic button yet. They actually did this exact same thing, not as bad, but they went on a nice little losing streak right before the All-Star break last season too. They lost 9-2 to the Brewers. Then they lost 10-1 at the Phillies. Then they lost 3-4. Then they lost 5-1. So they got swept. Then they beat the Tigers for 1 game, but then they lost 11-9, and then they lost 4-3. So I think we're kind of seeing a repeat with the cycle for the Dodgers yet again. I think they're in vacation mode. I almost think it's kind of strategic that they're kind of using this time to rest some guys. Anyone that's feeling little boo-boos like Teoscar or Edman, they're just letting them sit for now, and they're slow playing it. So I know it sucks to get your asses kicked, but we just went through this a year ago, and the Dodgers have a comfortable lead in the NOS that they can afford to punt some games. So I'm just getting to the point here that we're in a good spot still, and it's going to really come down to how they play in late August and September in terms of kind of our expectations and how we really feel about this team going into the postseason.
Well said, Kevin. Glass half full here on the Incline.
Appreciate everyone tuning in. If you're listening on the audio feed, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, I think Stitcher actually went out, Amazon, Google, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, drop a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. Who do you think the Dodgers should get at the deadline? Do you think the Astros were cheating? Share any of your thoughts and hit that like button. We're going to get on out of here. Everyone have a